What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Under Further Review. Today we're talking about a question that will never go away until there's a solution for it. And there ain't been a solution yet. But it might be coming soon. And the question is, should college athletes be paid? I got my own opinions about it, and I know my dog got his own opinions about it. So I'm gonna ask you first.
Yeah.
Should college athletes be paid? What do you think?
Bro, I have a lot of thoughts about this, and I think some of it may be a little unorthodox compared to the general consensus of the world, because I love that people are getting more and more, I think, involved in this conversation. But I will say, just as a short answer, yes, players should get paid. They should get compensated in some form or fashion. But before I get into like the details of what I think is the best way to kind of attack that, let me turn it back to you. Like, do you agree?
Got like two parts of your yes.
Yeah.
Like a yes or no. I say yes, absolutely yes.
Okay.
100% yes. And the reason why is just because of how much revenue these schools are making. And I think we'll also tap into a little bit more of why I say yes, but I'll say yes simply because every single year these colleges are making more and more money.
Right.
We're at a time in 2021 where everybody can be a content creator. Everybody has some type of brand platform, no matter who you are. If you got an Instagram, you got a name, you're an athlete, you got a brand. Right, yeah. Why should you not be able to capitalize off of that? So for me, I'm going to say yes.
Bro, so actually you hit a great point. So I got to ask you this first, just to clarify. Are you talking about players should be able to benefit and be compensated off of their own name and marketing alongside being paid directly by universities, whether it be like, hey, it's almost like a semi-pro league where we're paying you whatever your values were? So you think both make sense?
I think, something just happened last year where high school basketball players were actually given a chance to go to the G League, a select few, to be able to monetize their brand, to make money, get endorsements before they get drafted, while they're getting ready to become a pro, right? Yeah. That's essentially what, when you think about it, right? Like, you want to be politically correct. You go to college as a football player to hopefully become a professional athlete. Yeah. If you make it.
No question.
That essentially is a grooming process for that. You're preparing on the field, you're preparing like a pro to become a pro.
Yeah, it's technically semi-pro already. Is what is your argument.
Tell me why high school basketball players can be compensated, but high school football players or any other sport can't be compensated. Yeah, and that's just my opinion. And there's a stat out that says a 5-star recruit will make every university $650,000 per year.
That's crazy.
He generates $650,000 worth of revenue.
Per 5-star player?
Per 5-star player.
That's
Each
crazy.
5-star will generate $600,000+. A 4-star recruit will generate $350,000 per year for that university. So think about a top class that's going to get 6 or 7 5-star recruits, another 7 4-star recruits. And so you're talking about $20+ million a year generated off of these dudes.
Yeah,
I know my jersey was in the bookstore.
For sure.
I couldn't even afford to get one.
Right.
And so for just those type of reasons, man, I think it's flawed. I think that system is crumbling. I think something will change this year. But that's just kind of my thought.
Yeah. So we agree on the standpoint of there's so much money exchanging hands, and I think it's unethical and honestly un-American, because America loves capitalism. For the people who are generating the revenue, the players, it's un-American for these players to not see anything other than a scholarship, which we're not trying to downplay that at all. Like, that's valuable. You get so much exposure by getting a free education and your room and board and books and food. Like, that's incredible. So much gratitude for that. But I think where you and I differ, I struggle with creating a semi-pro league effectively in college athletics for a few reasons. One, When I was at UGA, my junior and senior year, I was a part of the National College Players Association. I was an intern, actually. So it was the unofficial, basically, Players Association like you have in the NFL, the NBA, for college athletics. And mainly for like Power 5 conferences, major revenue generating sports, football, basketball, effectively. And in that internship, we did a lot of research, a lot of data, diving, all this stuff that we were trying to determine and even creating ideas of like how we can actually resolve some of the issues we're finding. So reducing concussions by changing the amount of contact practices you could have, providing health care for players post-college for any injuries they may have had once their career was over. And the thing that I settled in on in my mind was that players should be able to be compensated off of their name. So if they can market themselves, if they get an opportunity with a brand, they should, no question, be able to make money off of that. But in order to try to keep the integrity of the student athlete and to try to keep it strong from what the NCAA says is most important, which is providing an education, I felt like the alternative would be to create a trust for any athlete who comes to a Power 5 conference and generates revenue to get a share that's split based off of the school's income that they do. So if you're at Georgia and they generate such amount of dollars in profit, you get a share of that based off of that year, and it's kind of locked in on that period of time, and it puts in that trust for 4 years, 4 to 5 years, basically when you graduate. So you can't really touch that money. It's locked away, it's invested, it grows, and that way it incentivizes two things. It incentivizes people to graduate. So it's like, hey, you get this trust money, but only if you finish. And two, it incentivizes guys to go to schools, not just based off of, hey, who can pay me the most? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like there's kind of a balance that can be had there, and I don't think anybody could be against that because it keeps it amateur, it keeps it pure per se, where guys are still doing it for the love of the game, they're doing it to get the education, etc. They're getting that development to potentially make it to the league and make the big bucks, but they're also not being taken advantage of. So I don't know, what do you think about that?
I like the trust thought process. I like that, but I actually like the trust in addition to players being able to get some likeness. Like you said, the trust would be an incentive for you to finish school, right?
Right.
Obviously that's why you came number one. Right. You finish school, boom, that kicks in. It's kind of like pension in the NFL.
Right.
You make it to a certain point, you get that. But I think when you allow people to be paid off of their likeness, across the board, gender, sport, anything, it's going to equal out in some type of way. And for me, my thought process is it's going to change recruitment. Like, think about the amount of athletes that don't go to HBCUs because they want to go to a school that generates a lot of revenue because they get the better stuff, right? You get all of this type of stuff. Now, I take somebody like Deion Sanders at Jackson State right now. He was talking about how the rule might change and people are going to be able to benefit from that. Well, wherever they are in that location, there are stars on that team. Like, people are paying attention to that school.
No question.
And so because of that, that's going to bring more attention to the school. That's going to bring more attention to these athletes. And they're going to be compensated in a way that you probably wouldn't be able to without it because they don't get that exposure. Right. And then just another part of that for me is like when we were at Georgia, the gym dogs, they were more popular than anybody, right? Yes. Like, think about how popular the gym dogs were.
That's true.
Their meets were packed.
All the time.
Like, they packed Stegman Coliseum.
And they won. They were the national champs. So people loved them,
So imagine if those women, because once they're done in college, they're done.
That's true.
Imagine if those women could have incentivized and made money off of their likeness, how that might have set them up to become, I don't know, coaches or have a brand to further that, even though they couldn't be gymnasts.
Man, I'm with it 100%.
Like, that's a whole nother situation that you talk about, and I think that was not just talking about gym dogs, but athletes in college football and basketball and track, people that know that they aren't necessarily gonna make it to that next level. I'm gonna maximize this as much as I can to get what I can to further me in business and whatever it is. And I think you're supposed to have that opportunity.
That's real, man. I agree. Like if you're a general student and you're going there to study sociology at University of Georgia, and you decided, and I'm going to create an invention, or I'm gonna get a YouTube channel, I'm gonna do whatever, you can profit off of that and no one's gonna stop you. So why does the NCAA have the autonomy to stop student athletes from benefiting off of their name? I think it's ridiculous. Hopefully, I think we're making progress. I think we're on the way to that changing for sure. But I gotta ask you, like, if we were to rewind, go back to 2008, bro, all the way through, I guess, 2011 for you, how would your life have been different if you would have had the opportunity to, one, make money off of your name, or just get paid from Georgia from playing on the team? Do you feel like anything would have been different for you?
My life would be ruined, right? Yeah. I'm just playing. Yeah. I think it would have. I think it would have. It would have helped me in a lot of different ways. First of all, we're not taught how to manage money at all in school.
At all.
In grade school or college.
Yeah.
Unless you take a finance course and you go that way. I think it would have put an emphasis on schools to make sure people have a financial literacy, right? Like, if you're going to give people money, they got to understand that, which is something everybody needs.
Right.
So I think it's a benefit from that standpoint. I think I would have learned, which I was always pretty good about managing money, but I think, like, when you get to the real world, you really got to know how to do it.
Yeah.
And it would have just gave us a jump start on that instead of being wired for that. I think I would have been able to generate enough revenue for myself, being a player at UGA that was notarized to the point where I probably could have had better living situations.
Yeah, right.
Better living situations. I was collecting coupons to go to Choo Choo's in Athens. I don't know if y'all go to Athens. It's in a little plaza. I thought it was the best thing ever, dog. I had thousands of these coupons.
What'd you get? Double chicken?
Double chicken. I got the shrimp on the side too.
Okay, yeah.
But that was my meal, man. That was my meal every single day. So
I love it.
I would have been able to eat better. I would have been able to probably live better.
Yeah, no doubt.
And get you ready for what you aspire to be, and if you don't make it to that point, at least you were living the life of a semi-pro.
Yeah,
that's essentially what you are,
bro. To answer that question for me, it would have made my life so much easier. Also, I would have got married at 18 if I was getting paid, bro. Because I met my wife my freshman year, and I knew from the beginning. I was like, this is the one. And the only thing that held me back, I don't know what held her back, but probably because she was just trying to make sure that she wasn't making a mistake. But I felt like if I would have been making money, I would have paid for that ring. I would have paid for that wedding. I wouldn't have been wasting any time. But that's aside the point. But I felt like it would have really made a big impact on my stress level. Because similar to you, like, your living situation is different at UGA. Like, there's a lot of things taken care of, but there are some small ancillary things that just pop up that make your life a little bit more difficult that you don't really think about. And, a lot of guys don't come from much when they get into those situations. And, unfortunately for me, without diving too deep, like, my dad had a stroke right prior to me getting to Georgia, so he wasn't working. And my mom was kind of doing the best that she could to keep our family afloat. So I was anything that I had left over, because I was cutting hair illegally without a license. Y'all, that's a callback to one of the episodes we did earlier. But when I was doing that, I was sending money back, to my parents to try to make sure the bills were being paid. And I know that wasn't too different from a lot of guys who were on the team, whether they were using their Pell money or they were using any other grants that they may receive during that period. And I feel like it just would kind of bridge the gap in some of the economic inequality that you see across the country for those guys who kind of put in that work. So I feel like it would have been monumental for sure.
It would, and it will be, because it's going to change at some point.
Yeah. No question.
Obviously, there's got to be a whole bunch done systematically to make sure it's done correctly. But I am such an advocate for players being able to to monetize off their brand, off their likeness.
Yeah.
And really, I just really want that to happen so I can play NCAA again on
Bruh,
PlayStation.
man, let me. I gotta ask you this, bro. Two things. One, did you even see the money when they sent it to you for NCAA? Did you ever get that check?
I think I did.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know you were in the league at that point, so you probably weren't even worried about it.
I got the check, but I got it like 2 years late.
Oh, really?
So like
okay.
When I got the check, I remember it saying like NCAA, whatever.
Right.
It was like $2,000.
Yeah, that was about what mine was too, and boy, that was a game changer because I was still like in that transition phase. I was still kind of wrapping up school. But the other question I had was, who do you think missed out the most? Like, if you were to look at the history of college athletics, football, basketball, Olympic sports, whatever, who do you think missed out on the most money they could have generated if they would have said, hey, you can capitalize on your likeness in the history of college sports?
In the history of college sports?
Yeah, like, do you have anybody that comes to mind?
That's tough. That's real
Other
tough.
than you, of course, because I know you be in commercials.
But you got to think about like the dudes that were like mega college stars.
Yeah.
And then their careers just didn't pan out at the next level. There's like a lot of those guys.
That's real.
Well, I mean, they still got paid because they went to the league.
Yeah, true.
But I think of somebody like Johnny Manziel.
Think
about Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Like if he could have monetized on everything.
Right. That's real.
He still might be
and
fine.
He came from money too, so
but
you know.
Like he changed. He really changed a lot.
He did.
He was like really a global superstar.
Yeah, my vote is a tie between two guys. I feel all time, I'm not sure if there was a bigger star than Tim Tebow in college football, bro. Like
100%.
he had a full blown brand in college, like based off of his eye black and just having John 3:16 on it, and people loved or hated him because of his personality. Like some people didn't even think he was real, like in certain respects. I feel like he could have done it. And Cam, like that one season at Auburn, at Auburn, they already breaking people off over there anyway. Shout out to John Sullen. He always trying to mess with me, talking about I got paid at Georgia. I ain't see a dime.
Not like in Miami though.
Oh yeah. Whole nother story. But I feel like Cam, bro, he just had the look, he had the impact, he had the success, like all the stuff that he did in that period of time. That one season was just like unbelievable. He even had the celebration, like the Superman celebration, just stuff like that you could brand yourself off of. And obviously he capitalized off of it in the league. But
yeah, he still made his money.
Right, obviously. So
it's kind of hard to say. Really, I think if we really had to answer that question, we probably had to do it from women's sports. Probably had to do it from women's sports.
Yeah.
Like there's been women's megastars.
True.
Whether it's softball.
Yeah.
Probably softball players. Like softball players are idolized at some of those schools where the softball programs are like the pinnacle.
Right.
And then the careers are done. Like, you can play
That's a good point.
pro softball, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
So for those women and those sports that are like the face of the program, they absolutely should be monetizing off of their brand because this is their peak.
Right.
This is as high as they're gonna go, and their brand is probably as big as it's gonna get.
That's real. Imagine how much money someone like Cheryl Miller could have made because she was a beast. Some people consider her the GOAT of college basketball, or Maya Moore. Like how incredible she's been in her career, and even kind of decided, like, you know what? I'm going to put this on the back burner because it's not like she was making millions of dollars, even though she was one of the best in the league. It's definitely, that's a great point, bro. Like those women were probably the ones who missed out the most on capitalizing off their name.
I think so. And I think that, as time progresses, as technology progresses, as the world progresses, it's going to become a point where college athletes are getting paid very handsomely. I'll probably say like in the next 10 to 15 years, they're going to be making a lot of money.
I hope so.
A lot of money.
I hope so.
But until that time, they need to be highlighted and they need to be, I'd say reimbursed.
Yeah.
for some of the things that you're doing, because a regular student isn't bringing revenue to the school. Let's just
just
America.
be real. Yeah.
If we're talking about America here,
right?
America is about money.
Yeah.
America is about creating opportunities.
That's right.
And change. So it's un-American. That's my thought process about it. It's un-American. I'm an advocate for players to be paid.
I agree. APU. I don't know if you remember this story, bro. Like, do you remember the whole APU situation that happened in? Yeah.
Please explain to our viewers how you almost got kicked out of the NCAA.
Man, hey, I was this close. So rewind to the 2013 season. I'm a senior. I'm one of the captains on the team. I'm doing that internship with the NCPA. You know, I'm having a lot of conversations. Shout out to Ramogi Huma. He actually played at UCLA, and you know, just felt passion to try to get guys the ability to capitalize off their name, and not only that, but to protect the player and their best interest. And around that same time, BYU actually decided to unionize. And I don't know how much support they garnered, but we felt it was important as the Players Association to just say, hey, we're behind y'all. Like, we may not be trying to unionize at our school, but we're behind y'all. Like, we're all athletes. We're in this thing. We want to provide that support. And so I came up with the bright idea to just write #APU, which stood for All Players United, on your wrist tape. And I'm the leader on the offensive line. I told the rest of the starters, I'm like, yo, we're doing this thing. This is what we're doing it for.
They didn't even know what it meant.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of explained it. Like, I had, but clearly I didn't explain it well enough. So we fast forward to the game. We're in there. We're doing the prayer. You know, I do the prayer before every game. And Todd is screaming out. Todd Gurley is screaming out APU at the end of the prayer. And so I'm like, this dude is crazy, but I don't think anybody hears this. Yeah. Clearly the media heard this. We went out on the field, we're warming up, getting ready for the game. Apparently people were taking pictures of our wrist tape. So fast forward, nothing is said. The next day happens, College Football Live is on. I'm sitting in the room. This is my first year married. So me and Ariella are sitting in the living room, and on the TV, literally on the television, is showing the starting offensive line, and there's a circle around every single one of us, and it says these guys had #APU on their wrist tape, and they clearly don't appreciate what they have in being in college, so I think their scholarship needs to be taken away.
Wow.
And bro, when I tell you, literally 5 minutes later, Coach Rick just calling my phone. He's calling my phone. And I was like, well, I guess it's the way it is. I was like, at least I'm about to graduate in like 2 months. But I was panicking.
What did he say?
Bro, so when he called me, I was scared to death, and he had the most positive outlook. He was like, hey, can you explain to me like what this APU means? And I told him like I had this paid internship, and this is kind of what we were trying to accomplish. We wanted to provide support. I get a lot of support here at Georgia. It's not about Georgia. This is just in general. And he was like, well, that's awesome. I knew if you were involved with it, it had to be positive, but I want you to have a conversation with Greg McGarity and Carla Williams. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm really gonna get kicked out of here. Like, I do at that point. But I had this meeting, bro, and it was so refreshing. Like, this is why I ride for Carla to this day. Shout out to her at UVA, the athletic director there. She was like, if there's issues here, if there's things where we're falling short of providing support, we want you to tell us so we can actually resolve those things. And we want to be able to provide the support you guys need to live the way you need to live. Yeah. So I was so happy that I did get my scholarship took that day because my dad would have kicked my teeth.
Did y'all continue moving forward with it on the wrist tape though?
So that was the last time we did wrist tape. We ain't never do that again. But from that point forward, they actually included me on the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and I was able to have some insight and give perspective on how they could improve things. And honestly, as things progress, some of these players are now getting a little bit more funding. They're getting a little bit more money.
And it's all because of Chris.
Hey, man, I take no credit.
It's all because of the 68.
But it definitely felt good, though, because I knew I'm not going to see the fruits of this labor, but I want to plant the seed and water it as best I can to the benefit of somebody else, you know. And I feel like we're on the path to this thing kind of getting resolved. And hopefully by the time, you know, Teddy makes it to college, she'll be making that bank like they do in Miami. So
we're joking, but like really, all of us laid some type of foundation in order for it to be where it is today. And
that's real.
Like that stance that you took was probably huge in that. You probably didn't really understand it at the time.
At all.
I'm sure they had real conversations about that. They had to.
Yeah.
The national exposure. And that's the type of thing that needs to happen in order for change to happen.
That's real, bro.
Talking about Teddy. Yeah, when Teddy get that age, I'm gonna be telling him to get that money.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Yeah.
Get the money.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Get
sir.
the money.
I ain't even mad at you, man. Did you have anything else you want to add on this topic, bro? This is good.
Like we end everything else. The question was, should college athletes be paid? I think we had a broad perspective and reasons why.
Yeah.
And they make sense to me, in my opinion.
Same.
But the biggest reason why they should, because it's un-American for them not to. But please let us know what you guys think, man. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment down below. Share your thoughts with us. If you're listening, tap in on our website.
Yeah.
And you can also comment on our YouTube as well.
Yeah, hit us up on social media. Thanks y'all for tuning in. See y'all in the next one.